So one thing that I did notice when I was researching into this whole long saga was that something that did come up in the UK trial was Johnny Depp's past.
Yes.
And I definitely have thoughts on how much of that will be admissible in the Virginia case, because there is a rule against character evidence, which is distinguished from evidence showing habit. There's a bit of overlap, that you can kind of, there can be a very fine line between them. But basically, character evidence is like evidence that shows generally that someone has a certain character trait and therefore they did the thing that was wrong. That kind of evidence, because it's not really particularized in a certain situation, like you can be a generally happy person and have one really bad day, for example. Like that's why character evidence is generally not admissible at trial. But if you have but that is distinguished from habit evidence, which is where, you can, depending on the details that we're talking about, you could say like this person, the defendant, every single time they came up to the stop sign, they stopped fully at the stop sign and then they drove on. Every single time that I saw them do this, so you can establish that they were in the habit of doing a specific task in a specific way. And that therefore it's like a smaller piece, in this whole puzzle.
Right.
But in this case, it seems like his past kind of started to come out from like the 1990s and things like that. Did you guys see that in the transcripts or whatever, or how much weight did that end up having?
There was a lot of evidence that came in that we didn't see. That's a big part of all these binders that he still got to go through.
Right.
But we know in his judgment, one of the things he said was he gave his own evidence. He entered his own evidence as opinion. He said, in this incident, I think Johnny Depp did what he always did. He got drunk, took drugs, and he assaulted
her.
Wow. And we're talking about the judge right now.
We're talking about the judge. I'm like, wait a minute. That didn't even come up in testimony. There was no question of this happening, whatever it was at the time. But that's what his answer was. I believe he did what he always does. So yeah, that character part very much came into the UK trial in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think that's one thing that some people are rightly concerned, is that there is a little bit of a past there where, I mean, there was
we have the hotel. We have
the hotel
where
in
he's
Manhattan,
done some damage.
Right?
We have Australia where he's done some damage. We have the video in the kitchen. He's done some, kicking the cabinets. So that's the character that I don't know if it's going to come in or not, because the video was illegally recorded. I mean, he didn't know it was being recorded.
And it was edited.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing that I've managed to get an opposite party on that one. When I had a sex discrimination case and retaliation for reporting a supervisor. That was a very, very interesting set of discovery responses when I found that they actually had an unlawful recording of my client, of a meeting that she had with the owner of the company. That was very interesting, and it actually was very damning for their side, and ended up, helping us kind of settle the case in a much stronger way than otherwise. But part of it was that we were able to say like, hey, not only is this damning for your side, but this is an unlawful recording. We're about to add some more claims to our our complaint. We can amend this totally, and you can see a greater liability, greater damages potentially because of this. Anyhow, but that's leverage that can be had in a case like this.
Yeah, I don't know. The same thing in San Francisco. I was on that hearing. That was the compel evidence that they wanted her to provide the entire audio. But the San Francisco one is so much of it is inaudible. You can't. So you're missing context. When things are said, you're missing.
You're talking about video that was taken in San Francisco.
Audio recording.
Audio. Yes, it was taken in San Francisco when she talked him into meeting up with her, and she recorded the whole time they were there. And he did not know he was being recorded. because she was egging him on to say things, to use her words, for example. But so much of it is inaudible that you're not getting the full context. Okay. And we've seen another portion that her lawyer filed, and Amber's like, you said this to me. He goes, I said that? Yes, you said that. Well, I'm sorry. Are you sorry? You said that to me. And it goes on like 4 or 5 lines where she's hitting him with the same statement to make sure he says what she wants to say. All right. I withdraw it. I apologize. If I said that, I'm sorry. So we saw it in another excerpt. So here she is saying, you did this to me. No, I didn't. You did it. It was just I didn't headbutt your nose. I headbutt your forehead.
I hit you in the forehead.
Yeah. It was after her doing it to him over and over and over. And then she goes, yeah, and I can't believe you did that. I'm like, you can't believe he did it? And yet you're claiming
after
he
Australia
pretty much did it all through their relationship. And now you're saying
after a 3-day hostage situation in Australia with birds and mashed potatoes and gravy and couches on fire.
So interesting.
She's shaking her head like, I don't even want to go there.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about, and I don't want to go there.
That was like one of the first things when she first started coming onto our side of Twitter. I was like, let's talk about this after you read the transcript.
So these recordings and whatnot, I mean, the fact that they are potentially taken out of context because portions of it are inaudible, it is helpful to know if it's just because that's just the way that they were recorded and it was just the quality of their recording, or if they were somehow manipulated afterwards, which is why having this expert be able to look at at this kind of metadata, at this kind of stuff, is very, very important.
But again, Johnny did not know he was being recorded, so
yeah.
I don't know if Virginia will. I think they also have a 2-party rule there too.
I don't actually know. I will double check on that.
Some of them are very clear, like the ones where they are like talking to each other, like the long ones that came out in Daily Mail, where she admits to hitting him and all that stuff. Some of them are very clear, but both Australia and that one in San Francisco, she's recording in secret, so the thing is hidden or whatever, and so there are definitely inaudible parts.
Yeah, although I'm wondering if it matters for the recording, if it matters where it's being offered in trial or in court, or if it matters where it was actually recorded.
Right.
I'm Googling it, saying Virginia's a 1-party state to phone conversation.
Okay.
I have a feeling that is with anything.
I mean, I'm all for just like get all that in there.
Yeah. I mean, and for his case, I mean, it kind of is helpful if there was nothing crazy that was revealed in that, it kind of is helpful for him to say, like, I didn't even know I was being recorded. I wasn't talking as any kind of a performance for anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just talking to my then wife.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's some interesting, like in 2016 for the restraining order hearing, Amber had those recordings in her evidence.
Interesting.
The long ones, like them talking to each other.
Interesting.
They're very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's from a practical standpoint. It, they might be thinking like the longer version is what's going to be coming in anyway, and we want to be able to use whatever snippets we want to use, to try to like highlight these portions that look better for us, and really kind of get the jury to focus in on it.
In Amber's evidence list, there are several more listed that I don't believe we've heard.
Johnny said he had or his UK lawyer said he had like 60 or something recordings that they wanted turned over. Johnny said, look, whatever I have, I've turned over. So there are more recordings. And he said that he started recording her because she kept flipping the script. You said you were going to do this. He goes, I never said that. Yes, you did. I remember it was told, and he said, so he started recording her because he was like, she's accusing me of saying or doing things at some point in time. And I can go back and say, no, this is what I said and did. Not that.
Interesting.